Hey guys, welcome back to Through the Screen. I'm Charlotte.
I'm Emily.
I'm Erika.
We hope you've been enjoying our episodes so far, liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. If you've missed any of them, head on over to our channel and watch, and be sure to subscribe while you're there. This week, we will be discussing a very important issue in our returning guest host, Erika's native Canada. So be sure to stick around and follow us once again as we join together via Skype to bring you conversations through the screen.
This episode, we will be discussing the very controversial Canadian seal hunt and what you all can do to stop it. We will also be bringing you updates from Taiji, discussing a heartwarming story about more than 600 turtles that were rescued from the icy waters of North Carolina, and finally sharing our thoughts on two huge pieces of entertainment this past week: the Hallmark Channel original movie Love's Complicated and the 6B season premiere of Pretty Little Liars. First up, the Canadian seal hunt.
So this week we wanted to discuss a very heartbreaking topic involving the annual seal slaughter that first began in the 18th century and continues on to this day. So during the 19th century, that's kind of when the fur trade industry first began. So for hundreds of years, seals have been hunted and slaughtered for their food, for fuel, and their clothing. Seal pelts are often used to make coats, vests, hats, boots, mittens, trims, seal leather, and novelty items. There are currently 8 different countries that are involved in the annual seal slaughtering, and that is Canada, Namibia, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Russia, Finland, and Sweden. Canada and Greenland are currently where it takes place the most. And there are 6 different species that can be killed, which is the harp, the hooded, the gray, the ringed, the bearded, and the harbor. So the harp is the most targeted seal, and with a small portion of the gray and the hooded. So the date of the slaughter is supposed to start November 15th and end June 14th. But because changes of the weather with environmental issues, it's often pushed back to March. So the slaughtering often takes place around the Gulf areas. So seals are often slaughtered at the age of 2 weeks old, and young harp seals provide the most valuable pelts, and the market is normally stronger. So once again, something that's a crazy issue in the world is all about selfishness, greed, and money. And the fact that the seals don't even live to be a month old is just sad. Like, you wouldn't take a 2-week-old baby and just slice them over the head and that's their life, It's heartbreaking. So in 2005 to 2011, Canada exported over $70 million of seal products to 35 different countries. And in 2011 to 2014, Canada exported $66.5 million of seal products to over 48 countries. In 2007, South Korea and Japan were the largest buyers of seal meat. China, South Korea, and the U.S. purchased the most seal fat and oil from Canada. And finally, when it comes to seal skin, about 80% of it goes to Norway. So to hunt seals, you have to have a valid seal license. And last season, about 12,000 were issued, but only 1,320 of them were actually active. In 2014 and 2015, the hooded seals that you were able to hunt and slaughter was 8,200. And in 2015, the harp seal was 400,000 that you could slaughter. In 2002, 312,000 seals were slaughtered, and in 2014, 60,000 seals were slaughtered. So obviously the number has gone down, probably because we are killing them off the planet. But also, we're not the only killers out there. Environmental issue part of that. They say that the seals, if they don't have a sturdy place to give birth on like solid ice, the seals will often drown, and a lot of percentage of the seals are dying because they're drowning. They don't even get the chance to even live like a minute, probably. So that's really sad. The tools in slaughtering are high-powered rifles, shotguns firing slugs, and clubs and hack-a-picks. So a hack-a-pick is a club with a like a metal hook on the end, and they say the hack-a-pick is a way of doing it humanely, but I don't think that is right at all. Like, there's nothing humane about a big club with a hook on the end. That's not humane at all. So that's ridiculous. So there is a 3-step process that these killers have to follow, and number 1 is they strike the seal with one of the weapons that I just explained. Number 2 is they're supposed to check for any signs of life, and number 3, they're supposed to check for bleeding. So when they strike the seal, it's supposed to strike below their flipper, and it's supposed to split 2 vital arteries, and they're supposed to bleed out. And they're supposed to wait 1 minute before they start skinning, although the seals are in agonizing pain for several minutes. 42% of the seals are actually skinned alive. And there is violations to breaking these rules. And these violations, if you break these rules, you can go to court. You can have your licenses suspended. And you can also be charged up to $25,000. So they do take this pretty seriously. They should take it more seriously and just ban it, because it's not right at all. There are people that do watch over this hunt. There's people that are in helicopters and watching above, and there's veterinarians on site that often document it, and they report anything that's not right. If they see that they're not checking the seal or they're striking the seal more than once, they will report that and get that action on the road. So right now, Canada believes that this is a humane practice and it is well-regulated, sustainable activity, and that any other information on this is either mis or misinformation, which obviously just doesn't add up. But I'd also just like to add that my heart is not at all shaming the Native Americans or First Nations at all, because this was their tradition for many years, and now it's not a tradition, and it's all about power, and it's about greed and money, and it's heartbreaking, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that I wasn't shaming them, and this is just all to bring awareness to this issue.
Right, I mean, because there's a difference between people that relied on them for food or whatever. I mean, obviously, I think that killing an animal is wrong regardless, but I mean, they used it for their livelihood, and today it's just being used for greed. I mean, nobody needs a seal coat or, seal meat or any of this stuff now. It's completely for greed, and it's horrible. And I remember seeing like this picture, and I'm gonna put it here, but it was of a hunter like clubbing a seal, and you can just see it. It looks like it's like screaming. It's a horrible, horrible practice. And I've watched videos released by Sea Shepherd and other organizations about the slaughter, and it's really hard to get through. Although we will link it down below, but I just think it's absolutely horrible, and that it's actually okay right now in multiple countries. So it's really sad.
Something that really, really bothers me with it is, I mean, we all talk about how, climate change has destroyed, the polar bear's habitat, the seal's habitat, and, just like Erika said, without ice, they don't have any place for their children to literally have a chance to survive. And it's like, now the ones that are surviving they're still not going to the polar bears because people are going in there and killing them. So it's like we're still like taking from them. We've already taken everything from these animals, and we are still taking from them. And it's gotten to a point now where it's like enough is enough. Like, do you not like you can sit there and blame climate change all you want, which yes, climate change is a huge factor in this, but so are humans, and humans are the reason for climate change, and humans are the reason why their populations keep dwindling to the way they are, because just like I said, the ones that are surviving, they don't stand a chance because they don't make it to polar bears' stomachs to feed them. They're making it to people's clothing and whatever else, they're using seal, parts for greed, money, whatever. Again, essentially the world comes down to two things: greed and love, and it's time that more love gets put into this world.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to share something that Shannon Doherty actually tweeted, I think earlier this week. It was a website about the International Day of the Seal, and it's something that is protesting the seal hunt in Nambia, but I mean it kind of goes against all seal hunting in general. And they do that around March 15th, so there will likely be, like tweet protest and physical protest that you can join. So I just wanted to mention that, and we will be linking that down below. But we just wanted to share some of the facts of this completely inhumane slaughter so that you can be aware of what's happening. And if you already knew about the Canadian seal slaughter, we hope that you've learned something new. We seem to always get comments from supporters of these kinds of things, so just let us know your thoughts, and if you'd like to make an effort to help stop this horrible practice, we will also link a few petitions down below that you can sign, as well as more information on International Day of the Seal, as I've said. And also be sure to share it with others so that this horrible practice may be ended for good.
This week in Taiji, we saw 4 days of Blue Cove, the 8th, the 10th, the 12th, and the 14th. However, the rest were Red Cove. January 9th, we saw a pod of Riso dolphins slaughtered. January 11th, about 35 to 45 striped dolphins. And on January 13th, 7 to 10 bottlenose dolphins were driven into the cove. 4 were driven back to sea while the rest of the pod was slaughtered. Also, on January 13th, 2 previously captive bottlenose dolphins were transferred to the Taiji Whale Museum to live forever in captivity. So as always, we encourage you to check out the live streams below to see what's going on in Taiji for yourself.
This week's heartwarming story is about more than 600 turtles that were rescued from the freezing waters of North Carolina in the past few weeks. The recent temperature drop caused the sea turtles to go into a state of shock, in which they were unable to swim and instead just floated in the water, making them vulnerable to predators. More than 100 of the 600 turtles rescued, many of which were very young, were taken to the North Carolina Aquarium, where they were placed in warm water pools and treated until they were well enough to return to the ocean. There are multiple factors associated with this story. First and foremost is climate change. As we've seen recently, there have been rushes of cold water due to melting ice caps, so that is a major problem for these turtles, as well as rising waters, which has washed away a lot of their nests and things like that. Because of this impact that it's having, this is something that we really need to think about in terms of our actions. And we also wanted to make it clear that we do not support aquariums that take perfectly healthy creatures that are able to survive on their own in the ocean and putting them in a tiny tank for the rest of their lives. We do appreciate the fact that there were people willing to rescue these turtles and nurse them back to health to eventually be released back to their home. So in this case, the aquarium kind of served more as like a sanctuary or a rehabilitation center. So that's the kind of thing that we support, and we just think this story was definitely worth sharing.
This week in our entertainment section is jam-packed. First, it started with the premiere of the Hallmark movie Love's Complicated, starring Holly Ray Combs and Ben Bass. It was the second most watched program of the night of its premiere, which means good things because the movie itself was wonderful. But also this week, we saw the return of Pretty Little Liars and the long-awaited Time Jump. So, what did we think about the first the movie, and then Pretty Little Liars 5 years forward?
So I absolutely loved the movie. I've watched it many times since it aired. I was really excited because I believe it's Holly's first movie since Panic Button. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Yeah, okay. But yeah, so I was really, really excited, and I was so impressed by it. Not that, I mean, she's not always amazing, but I just loved it because she was hilarious. You know, her comedic timing, everything was perfect. It was filled with emotions and everything like that, and her chemistry with Ben Bass was incredible. And I don't know, I just really love it.
I think for me, what I most enjoyed about the movie was how opposite it was from Pretty Little Liars and
Yes.
from Panic Button.
Right.
They were both very serious and dramatic roles, and this was very romantic comedy-ish, and it was very relatable to any regular person on the planet could relate to the movie, and I really enjoyed that. Whereas Panic Button's a certain type of situation, and
Yeah.
Pretty Little Liars is like, this is never going to happen in real life ever, so it's just kind of like, it was nice to see that different side of her because we never really get to see her play funny.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so refreshing as funny, and I've always told her that, and I'm so happy that she decided to do this movie because it was really just a completely different side to her, and it was so much fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Charlotte said, that it was like a romantic comedy movie and genre of movies. And Holly is absolutely like my favorite person in the world. So, like, both of those combined were just a dream come true. Her chemistry, like Emily said, with Ben Bass was phenomenal. Her role was just amazing, and I laughed so hard in the movie. I cried. There was just like so much going on, and like her eye rolls were on point. And red is her color. Like, I love that red dress. My gosh, there's so much, and like the dime scene. She's just like Charlotte said, like her, like she's so funny, and it was just really nice to see that just like fall out of her. I don't even know if that's a good word, but like just like pour out of her.
Yeah.
Like the last time I really saw something like that was like on Off the Map with like Shannon and Holly, and where they were like really like down to earth to themselves and stuff. But like this was a really big treat, and I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, and I think it also shows her range because a lot of the movie she's really, really funny, but then there's that, of course, that one scene in particular with the mirror. We don't want to give too much away, but it also shows her emotion as well. I mean, I know a lot of people cried at that part, so I mean, I think it definitely shows her range as an actress, and we just love it. And we also loved that one of our friends was actually an extra in the film, so it was fun to like look for her in the background. So that was another fun thing as well.
And to actually get to watch it with her as well, because
Right.
we did a Skype viewing of it so that our international friends could also see the movie, because it wasn't aired internationally, and she has so many international fans that adore her that we know, so we tried to share the wealth as much as we could with them, so it was kind of cool to do that as well. So, of course, like always, with everything that we watch, we encourage anybody who can to go on to the Hallmark Channel's menu guide or on their website, see anywhere, any type of way you can try and watch this movie. I think it is also available on YouTube. So if you can, try and check it out because it's really worth the watch, and Holly's performance is really top notch, and you won't be so sorry. But anyway, as I said in the beginning, we also are going to be discussing the Pretty Little Liars 5 years forward time jump, which premiered this week as 6B season premiere. So, what did we think about that, and how did we feel about that?
I feel like First of all, I feel like there was so much hype around the premiere of the episode. I feel like, in a way, it didn't really live up to the hype because there wasn't a whole lot going on. I mean, obviously, it makes sense. We had to do a lot of catching up. But I feel like it wasn't as hyped up as they kind of made it to be. But that being said, I do feel like it was refreshing to see different storylines because, I mean, we've seen for years the same thing over and over and over again. So I think the 5 years forward kind of helped because it gave it it refreshed the show.
I feel like it gave the show its mystery back. I feel like over the past 6 years, we've definitely lost the mystery of the show, and I mean, by the time it was revealed who actually A was, a lot of people had figured it out. And it was just, past that point where it was like, we need like refreshing, like new ideas to the story. So that's really how I like looked at that whole situation with the time jump.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things lost, like how the couples broke up, the fact that Emily's dad died so suddenly and there was no lead up to that. But I feel like, especially the couples, I feel like a lot of that's going to be explained throughout the season. But I mean, I wasn't sure about it coming back and like all these things changing so drastically. But I do feel that it has refreshed the show to do 5 years forward.
One of the things I didn't get was it appears that Emily's dad, like however he died, like it just appears this way. I'm not saying this is how he died, but like it had something to do with him in the army or the Marines or whatever.
Yeah.
And the last time we saw Emily's dad, we learned that he is sick. So it doesn't really make any sense for him to be back in the Marines or the army or anything like that if he was sick. So that really, like, I didn't get that part of the story at all. So that kind of, like, bothered me a little bit.
Well, I mean, speaking of things making sense, let's talk about the fact that Allison is a teacher at 23 after missing so much high school while she was missing. or hiding.
Well, and I mean, technically the 6 years was only 2 years, but I mean, to us, in real time, it was 6 years. But she lost essentially 2 years of high school, and she still became a teacher at 23.
Yeah.
Which is impossible.
Yeah, it's not possible, even in TV world. But, yeah, I mean, and also the fact that I was upset about the fact that all of the moms were in the show except Ella, which obviously to all three of us, that was a big deal because we want to see Holly. But I mean, also the fact that they never said how the moms got out of the basement or like, I mean, anything like that. I mean, obviously the show is focused on the 4 girls, so I mean, it's not a huge part of the show, but I mean, we still want to know how they got out,
So, of course, one of the other things that we learned at the end of last, I guess, half season, we should put it, is that Cece turned out to be Charlotte, who turned out to be Charles, who turned out to be De Laurentiis. So, Charlotte essentially gets sent away after everything that happens and that she does to everybody, and the girls come back to help Allie get her out. And in a sense, in a way, that's basically what happens. Mm. So Charlotte gets out, of course, and what is the first thing that happens the first night that Charlotte is out? She gets killed. So, of course, now everybody's like, she committed suicide, and where does she commit suicide?
The bell tower.
Oh, the church bell tower. Do you see the similarities that we are trying to point out here, people? Like,
mirroring at its best.
Mirroring the first episode was something that kind of really, it almost annoyed me in a sense. Like, it really did. I'm sorry. I thought it was cool at first for, like, the first, 10, 15 minutes, and then it just was like, I want new. I don't want same thing. So I really hope that they don't go about this, new transition with a 5-year jump similar to they did the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And I just hope that it doesn't take us till the end of season 7 to find out how Charlotte really died.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know what Charlotte's talking about, basically there were a lot of scenes in this past episode that mirrored the pilot of Pretty Little Liars. So that guy that was leading Sarah into the funeral, just like Toby was leading Jenna, and Sarah's not blind, so I don't know why someone was holding on to her like that. But also at the end, where they're standing in a circle, you look up, you see the bell tower. And also they all fall asleep in the hotel after drinking, just like they fell asleep in the barn after drinking. A De Laurentiis goes missing and is dead, and one of them is gone and comes back, and they accuse them of killing her. So, I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff that happened in the first part of Pretty Little Liars. So I'm wondering if she's trying to insinuate that just like before, Cece's actually alive, but at the same time we saw her body. So part of me was wondering if she was the one who had the twin, but I don't really know how that would work out. So I don't know what the mirroring thing was about, honestly.
So for me, I wasn't surprised that Charlotte ended up being killed at the end of the episode, but I really wanted that storyline to go on to see where Allie and Charlotte would end up, like where the relationship would go. So I was really mad also at the fact that they were like, oh, she committed suicide. And I'm just like, no, this is Rosewood. People go missing and people get murdered. Like, that's that. So that really made me upset. Because I really like the character of Cece. And then when I found out that she was A and like Charlotte, I was like, okay, whatever. But I was really upset when they killed her, and I hope that like maybe she does have a twin. I don't know. Also, the fact that like I feel like the 5 years forward thing, the girls don't have like the bond that they used to have. When I saw the next week's preview, they were just like, I feel like they were really attacking Arya. Out of all people, Arya, like she's so innocent in my eyes. And just like they didn't have that trust like they did like 5 years later. Like
yeah, but that's kind of like the whole point to the show, and the whole mystery of it is like that they don't have to trust anymore, and how are they going to build that trust back? And is Cece's death and helping Allison out, is that going to be the thing that brings them all back together? And now they have to essentially find out who killed Cece, because I mean, it all plays back on them, and the only one who seems to be innocent in all of it is Arya. So it's just like she's naturally the first person that I think of, similar to what Emily said with Spencer in the first, season. How it was so easy to pinpoint Spencer because she was the one walking back into the barn and was like, "Oh, I heard a scream,"
Yeah.
like
yeah.
So it's just kind of like it's all very questions, as similar as always. PL always gives us questions and very little answers. So
yeah,
like even Jessica, like we don't know how she died yet.
Right.
They didn't.
I'm pretty sure that whoever killed Jessica is the same person that killed Cece.
Yeah. They're probably won't be revealed until the end of season 7, but
that's probably
that'll probably be the last thing. But I think another thing that was interesting that I wanted to point out about the show is that they're kind of getting more tech savvy, I guess. Is, last time when they would get a text, they would actually show the phone screen, and this time they actually show the text on the bottom of the TV screen, like just digitally.
Yeah, rather than showing us the actual phone with the text on it.
Right.
They're giving us like new technology nowadays would essentially with TV. Everything's like they just show the message pop up on the screen. Like,
right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think that was interesting. I didn't like the selfie thing that they were doing at the beginning. I thought that was really cheesy.
But again, it makes sense because they haven't seen each other in 5 years. So
I get that they would take selfies, but I don't know. Yeah. And then, the thing that bothered me the most, and I don't know why it bothered me so much, is that they tried so hard to show that they were of drinking age, that they had to have alcohol in every single scene that they were in. They had to be drinking alcohol. And I was just like, okay, we get it. They can drink.
Like Hannah drinking alcohol in the morning.
Yeah. She has wine delivered to her with room service.
But, I mean, I guess I see what it's like trying to be. We still see them as those old characters, and they're trying to, they're not those characters anymore. You know, they are, 5 years older, and that's, supposed to be accustomed to the lifestyle that Hannah chose, which is the fashion world, and, being in Paris and Milan. That's why, she brought up all those different places, and, like, all those types of things, and that's why, Spencer is very, political and, still the same type of Spencer that she always was, but she has that more grown up and, more been there, done that, I've lived it type of quality, whereas I want to get out of here, I need to experience other things, and this place is suffocating me. And, Arya, we don't really know much about yet. All that we really know is that she ended up in Boston, and I thought that was kind of cool because she was talking about, like, how she was like, oh, I was on the red line to Braintree, and I'm like, I've been on that line, so I thought that was cool. And I feel like Emily came back with, obviously, the biggest secret. I won't reveal what the secret is. On the web show, I know we revealed a lot, already of what happened in the episode, but I won't reveal this just in case, you haven't seen the episode. But it's a pretty big secret, and it's definitely something that, when it is revealed, it's going to impact, many of, all three of the other girls when they find out. So I really, I look forward to that, and I hope that Marlene does that storyline justice. So, and I mean, also with Mona, I mean, her storyline wasn't major, in the end of last season. She kind of was just there to finally find out why, everything happened the way it happened. But what I really, really liked was how she was kind of, like, essential to the storyline. More so, I think, than last time, where it's kind of pointing directly at her, too. Like, was she the one who did something? Does she know more than she's letting on? What is she hiding? So, again, we go back to the beginning season where Mona kind of takes the role of Jenna, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't, I suggest you head on over to ABC Family or On Demand, any type of streaming web service that you have, and look for Pretty Little Liars.
Under Freeform now.
Oh, yes, for Freeform. I apologize, it is no longer ABC Family. And find Pretty Little Liars Season 6B, the premiere, and watch this episode and see how you feel and what are your comments and your reactions, and, what was your take on what happened with Cece and how the girls came back together and all that stuff. We want to know, so let us know down below.
This week's artist is 23-year-old California native Tori Kelly. Starting on YouTube doing covers at the age of 14, Tori really got recognized for her cover of Frank Ocean's Thinkin' About You, and even more so when she auditioned for American Idol in 2008. Unfortunately, she didn't make it all the way to the finals, but did end up working on her own music instead. Now, having released 2 EPs and a full-length album, Tori is nominated for Best New Artist at this year's Grammy Awards, which obviously is a huge deal. And this week's song choice is her newest single, Hollow, which was released as a music video this past November. The song features Tori's powerful vocals and is guaranteed to give you chills. So what did you guys think of the song and music video?
So I really like this song of the week. When Emily sent me the song, I listened to it right away, and for me, it was kind of like you know how Adele, it gives you chills and it just gets you down in that feeling. I was like that, and I became obsessed. She's so talented for a 23-year-old, and she's just pursuing her dreams, and she's like, it's motivational to see singers like that, and I love the video, and it was amazing, and I ventured out in her other songs because she's really, really good. So, and her hair, it's like perfect, and her voice is heavenly, so that's my opinion.
I actually think it's funny that you compared it to Adele because, like, when I was just watching that video, that's all I could think about was how this video is exactly like Hello, because she's basically in a house, like, singing in a similar type of house, too. Like, it's not even like she's like, literally in almost the same type of house that Adele is in the Hello video. And even though there's nothing in the house is completely like empty. It was just like, whoa. For a second, I was like, hey, this looks familiar. But I like the song. The video, again, like I said, I thought of Adele, so it's not really like, it's nothing like original, but it's a good video. It fits the song. It's not supposed to be about, a big spectacle. So I really enjoyed it.
It's funny that you say that because Hollow and Hello are also similar titles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the song. I've been a fan of Tori Kelly for a while. I think her voice is beautiful. A lot of people know her from her single Should Have Been Us. That's a big one that was on the radio. But I love this song and I love the video. I think the lighting and everything is just really beautiful, and I definitely think that everyone should check it out. So we hope you guys will check out the music video for Hollow down below, as well as the rest of her music. Also be sure to download her album Unbreakable Smile on iTunes and let us know what you think about this week's artist and song.
Okay guys, that's our show. We hope you enjoyed this installment of Through the Screen. If you did, be sure to like down below and also subscribe to the channel. We also appreciate any feedback that you may have. We post new videos every week, and we'd love for you to all join us and tell your friends. Next week, we'll be discussing a brand new topic, so you won't want to miss it. Until then, thanks for watching, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!
Bye.
Bye.